everyone, Richard Carlton here. It's 1 o'clock time for some awesome training. It's exciting to be here today. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of fmtraining.tv, where we create lots of great video training resources for you, paid video courses, as well as lots of free content as well. Today is actually going to be a lot of fun. Today continues our kind of walk through the world of FileMaker 19. Today is going to be on JavaScript, the two-way communication back and forth, the web viewer, which they do it via JavaScript, making function calls kind of back and forth. We got a great demo for that. Very exciting.
One of the new features that we have in FileMaker 19 is better interaction with the web viewer. And so we have this little demo here to kind of show how information is passed back and forth between FileMaker and the FileMaker fields and the web viewer, and how we can call scripts from the web viewer. Previously, we would use the FMURL protocol, which was calling a URL to trigger a script in FileMaker or open up a particular file. And we ran into issues with that because if you had multiple versions of FileMaker installed, it might get confused with which version it's supposed to be pointing to, and so it was problematic, and it didn't work on WebDirect. So this solves those problems. So here we have on the left of the screen, we have this web viewer up here. It's just a simple button, and down here we have the code that is running that web viewer. And if I go into layout mode, we'll see this is our web viewer field. It just holds that HTML. And then our web viewer, and it's just displaying, taking the HTML and interpreting it to display what we want. So in this case, it's just showing us a button. If I type in here, you'll see, though, that it does change the web viewer above. So this new feature that we have is we can call a script from the web viewer. So we have this function that we can write in the in this JavaScript, and here is FileMaker.perform script, and I specify what script I'm calling. So
your audio, your audio broke up there. So you want to try that? Say that one more time. That last one we're going to call that.
So we have this JavaScript function that we can call called FileMaker.perform script, and here we define which script we want to call. In this case, it's called Hello World. If I go into scripts, you'll see that this is a really basic script. It just it beeps, and then it shows a custom dialog. So nothing too fancy. We were starting simple here. Let's go ahead and try it out. This is the web viewer. I'm going to press the button Hello World, and Hello World. Welcome to FileMaker 19. We just called this script from a web viewer, so that's pretty exciting. And for anyone who's been frustrated with the URL protocol in web viewers, this is just amazing. Now, one thing I do want to point out, if you try something like this in your file, is that we've got this new option down here, allow JavaScript to perform FileMaker scripts. This must be enabled for the feature to work. And if that's not enabled, it won't do anything. So we just demoed, in this case, how you can call a script from a FileMaker web viewer, a web viewer in FileMaker. Let's see the next demo. In this case, we are going to transfer data, and you'll notice that our HTML is a little longer. There's some more information here. Now we not only have a button, but we have a field, and we're going to transfer data from the web viewer to a field in FileMaker. And over here I have a FileMaker field. Let's go into layout mode just real quick. So we'll see that, again, this is the same web viewer, same background field to display the code. And then over here, it's just a regular FileMaker field called field. So I'm going to type in Hello World. And we'll see here, if we just want to glance here, we have that same submit FileMaker.perform script. And in this case, we're pointing to a different script, and we're also passing a parameter. And that parameter is defined right here, and it's grabbing the data from the field. So let's try it out. Let's say submit, and there our data went right over. let me try that one more time because it didn't feel like it went the first time. Okay, it must have been the problem with my click. This is awesome. Let's try that one more time. It worked. Okay, so it's taking data from the web viewer and putting it into FileMaker. Okay, now our third demo here is we are going to take data from the web viewer, send it to FileMaker, make changes, and send it back. And this is using and we'll look at that script in just a second. So I'm going to say, hello world, submit, it goes back. I'll change this to hello there, and select this button, send to web viewer, and it updated the web viewer. So let's see, first we'll look here and see what happened, what's a little different in the HTML code. And here we have this send web viewer, we have this function called set web viewer field, and this is one that we just defined to illustrate this feature. We're pulling the parameters from whatever from the command passed to the web viewer, and we are setting the field. Now let's look at what the script looks like. And I'm going to say open the script, and we'll see we're setting a we're saving a parameter in the web viewer, and we're saving this as a JSON object with the value of field, and then the field, whatever we've typed in this field, and then we're telling on step 7 is perform JavaScript in web viewer. And if we look at this script in a little more detail, I'm going to go ahead and press play. If we looked at this in a little more detail, we'll see that we are defining which web viewer we're pointing to. So that if there were multiple web viewers, we need to point to the right one, and that's based on the object name. And then we're telling it what function to run, and that's pointing in that JavaScript to which function we want to run. And then here, we're passing the parameters in that block of in that JSON object. And so all of that packaged together brings that data to the web viewer. I'll do one more, hey. And so it's calling this web viewer, this function here, which then sets the field in the web viewer. So we've got this back and forth interaction between the web viewer and the field, and we might ask, well, why is this demo isn't? I mean, it's kind of exciting if you've used the URL protocol to try to do similar things, but how can we use this? And one of the awesome things about this is that it is supported on WebDirect. So I'd like to show a demo of this in a real app and see how we're using that. Do you have any questions before we move to that?
Yeah, no, I'm actually looking at, there's some questions here, and I was, unfortunately, Christian is not watching the YouTube chat, so he's not in a position to answer this stuff, but it really is specific to kind of him. And so Barry is talking about, he says, hey, I've been drifting away from FileMaker and playing with React.js the past year, but I think with this, I might be messing around with integrating React apps over the next few months. And then below that, we have Richard, do you have an annual update to 19 training? Okay, so yeah, so what I want to do is address the kind of the JavaScript conversation here, and then people are kind of wandering in kind of late a little bit to the conversation about the training. So real quick, so the update with the training is that we anticipated FileMaker 19 shipping next week. It came out about a week before we thought they were going to come out. They actually don't tell us, so we have to kind of like hire psychic hotline people to tell us when they're going to ship. And the psychic hotline got it wrong. So what happens is that we have the 19 course. What we take the 18 course, we update the content that's out of date. We added the Cloud 2 material into that. We added some other sections, tweaked some other sections, and then we are covering like this. There's a detailed conversation there about this specific demo. but we're not teaching you JavaScript, right? So as Barry would tell you that JavaScript, the world of JavaScript and FileMaker, two totally different worlds. JavaScript is basically another language that at the end of the day has nothing to do with FileMaker. It's one of the most popular things on the planet. There's tons of JavaScript training out there. So I'm not a JavaScript trainer. It's not my job. I wouldn't be the person to even begin to do that. Now, briefing you folks on the fact that we can, there's basically when you have a web viewer in there, FileMaker is injecting a library into the JavaScript that's in the web viewer, so then we can make this two-way conversation. So there's this injection that they do, and that allows you to have a two-way interaction. I think this is really a big deal. So it's like someone saying, hey, you know, PHP is part of FileMaker, kind of. You can call it and interact with it a little bit or a lot. But we don't train people on the PHP part of it. So once again, when you have to learn an other language outside of this, if you want to use that. Now this gets back, once again, at some point Christian will probably surface here. But you know, there's been a number of conversations where, you know, oh, I've got to learn JavaScript. Okay, well, you really know FileMaker. Do you really need to know JavaScript? I mean, yesterday we had a conversation about the add-ons. So there's basically three major things about add-ons. One, Claris is going to make add-ons, and the general public or general third-party developers can make add-ons, okay? So one is that add-ons are coming, they're useful. Two, an end user or someone with a power user can drag and drop these onto your application and they can provide some value. You'll have to tweak them probably a little bit, but they should come with instructions on how to tweak them. And so understand that you can consume the add-on or you can be a builder of the add-on. I am not going to be able to really teach you how to, we will teach you how to build add-ons in a very basic way as that documentation is finalized. As of now, it's not finalized. So I can't provide training on something that which basically we're discovering by accident right now. So as soon as we have official documentation on this in real depth, then I'm getting a lot of noise in the background. As soon as we have the information on that in depth, we will do more training videos on it specifically. But understand that at the end of the day, I'm not going to teach you, everything you know about React or Node or whatever other technologies out there. It's very useful technology, but that's a parallel technology, parallel skill set to FileMaker, and there are great trainers out there who train that stuff. So if you're looking for that,
Richard, I think that your position on that is pretty consistent with what you see in the the threads and communication from Geist and Soliant and Matt Petrowski, which is, hey, all of you who are doing FileMaker, you don't need to necessarily run out and learn JavaScript. For myself, it's really interesting, and I'm wanting to mess around with it. But there's going to be lots of developers out there providing easy-to-install tools, as Richard's saying, that you can go in and configure, so you don't have to drop everything and go and take this on. And that's really the message that I've seen from Geist and the others who were behind a lot of this. In fact, some of the features that aren't available yet, as I tried to reverse engineer them, I was glad to go back and read that, hey, you're not going to be really successful with a lot of these add-ons because they're really made to be drag and drop and work. But as Calvin is showing here, the toolbox is completely accessible if you want to go in and make something yourself. So it's not that you can't make anything with JavaScript. It's nice that you don't have to if you don't want to sit and learn that.
Yeah, and if you actually want to learn it, then that would be a totally separate instructor on a separate course. So, because I have 30 years of doing this, there's certain things I can train people to do, even outside the world of FileMaker. JavaScript is not in my wheelhouse of things I would normally train someone to do. So, and Todd could probably do it. Some of these other guys could do it, but I would assume that you would the best JavaScript probably instructor would be someone who doesn't know anything about FileMaker, right? Because that's all they do all day, every day. So
here we are, we're in FileMaker Pro, and this is our calendar add-on kit. If we look in the settings, we'll see that we're using these new functions with the FileMaker Perform script. We have we're calling one script here, giving it parameters, and there's a few different ways we're doing that. So let's watch it work. And I can just click on a event, it brings it up, and that's calling that script through previously it was through the FMURL protocol, and now we're doing it through the FileMaker that JSON, this JavaScript calling the script. And here we see show task, and we have our script parameter as a JSON object, and we pull the data out of that object, and FileMaker opens up the new record, or the selected record. And this supports both the selecting and moving events from one point to another, and also making them larger. But all of these features, though, worked pretty well with the FMURL protocol, but this did not work. We have right here, you'll see I'm not in FileMaker, I'm in Safari, and we're in WebDirect, and it looks really similar. It's kind of hard. If you weren't paying attention, it would be hard to tell the difference. I'm going to say refresh, just because this has been sitting here. And so here I can move around these events, select them. This might have been sitting a little too long. Let me log back in. So here I'm logging back into our demo file that's hosted with FileMaker 19. Here's the events, and you'll see that they match up with the with our FileMaker window as well. And I can select one, and this shows another thing that's new in FileMaker 19. Card style windows are now supported in WebDirect, so that's pretty awesome as well. So we can select it, and previously with WebDirect, it would just give you an error saying you couldn't do whatever you were trying to do, or it would actually go and open up FileMaker Pro when you're trying to do this. So all of these are now working with WebDirect, which is pretty awesome. And to go back to that idea of the not having to learn JavaScript to use something like this, this calendar is a JavaScript library that we took from that we got from a developer, and it's something you can look up online. It's fullcalendar.io, and that has all of the information. You can download the library there. We put it into FileMaker, and then we have it display in a web viewer. So in this case, we didn't really have to learn how to build something in JavaScript. We just took the JavaScript and adapted it to interact with FileMaker, so we can see the events in this really nice calendar. So with this new web viewer features and integrations, we'll be able to see a lot more tools and widgets like this, and it'll be a lot easier to implement and use with FileMaker. So if we look over here at the, let's go ahead to this new field here. So this defines we're defining all of our functions as new task, show task, update task, and you could have any, you could put in your own function to interact with FileMaker as well. We're defining our parameters, and then we're calling the FileMaker.perform script, and this callback script name is actually it's a variable that we set over here, and so you'll see we're setting it as with this add task, we are calling the new task script. With our resize, we're calling update task. With drop, we're calling update task. And with clicking, we're calling show task. So those parameters are passed to the FileMaker.perform script. And then the script uses those parameters to perform an action. So here let's go ahead and open up our data viewer, and we'll see what the script parameter looks like. And it's a little difficult to read. It's just one long string of JSON. But if we use our JSON format elements, we can see what that looks like. So we have all day is false. We have the end timestamp, the focus timestamp, which is just the focus date for the calendar, the ID of the event, and the start time. So using all of this information, it goes and it updates the record, and we're updating it through a relationship. Previously, we were doing this through opening a new window and performing a find, but that becomes, it causes a lot of flashing and delays when you're on WebDirect. So doing it through a relationship where we set a global field and make those adjustments through the relationship works a lot faster and gives us a better experience with WebDirect. So we'll go ahead through there, and that was the update task. With the show task, let's go ahead and look at this script parameter. We are just passing we're just passing the ID. That's the important part. And let's get that so we can see it. We're passing the ID and the focus date for the calendar, whatever date we're viewing. And that is just used to, it uses the same relationship that we're using to update the record, but in this case, I'm going to say monitor so we have this for later. But in this case, it's used, instead of setting any fields, it's using a go to related record, GTRR, to open that task, that event, in a card style window, which is a really nice experience here. And we'll see that it works just the same over here in WebDirect. And you'll notice that there's a little bit more flashing in WebDirect, which is unfortunate, but WebDirect is still coming along as a product. The final thing that we had was just adding a task, and in that case, we're just passing the focus date. But in that script, again, we're creating the record just a little bit differently than previously. Previously, we would open a new window and then create a new record. Here, we're creating the record through that relationship and then opening it using the go to related record, which is a lot faster because if we open a new window, it's going to show whatever that first record is in that table. Then we're going to create a new record, and it's going to jump to the end of the found set. And there's delay after delay there. Here, we're creating the new record and navigating to just that record. We'll also notice that we've been very particular in this app about making sure that all of our objects have a style assigned to it. So there's nothing with a red arrow on our styles. And that just makes it run a lot faster in WebDirect, and make sure that we minimize the length of time that it has to load each time we open those.
Here's the reality of this. This stuff is pretty propeller head, this Java. All this stuff in here is JavaScript. Is really propeller head. This stuff is written by this company called fullcalendar.io. And the reality with this stuff, if I can do that, actually, I hit the wrong button. Give me 1 second here. What I want to do is I kind of need to do both at the same time. Here we go. Hello. There we go. I need a button for that. That this stuff was basically, the first time we saw this was about 2010 or so. And the fullcalendar.io is a company, they license this stuff out. Now, this is their free calendar, but they also have a paid Gantt chart, do some other stuff, but it's all based in web tech. So once again, these are like JavaScript guys and coder guys that don't know anything about FileMaker. And so what FileMaker people do is they see it, they take it, they drop it in a web viewer, and then they have to use the URL protocol to communicate back and forth, which is a real hack. It's been that way since FileMaker 8.5, or whenever, yeah, at least that long. So the issue is that then now we finally have the ability to make direct calls back and forth without involving the operating system. And that has a lot to do with sandboxing, right? So sandboxing is this idea where each app has its own little protected memory space. So if you have a malicious program from China, like TikTok or whatever it is, people losing their minds about that today, it's contained in its own space, and it's not talking or stealing data from another application. So it's a sandboxing. And so the only way really around sandboxing for the most part has been URL protocol. But the problem is that sandboxing gets in the way of great inter-application communication, which is what you want to have. And so this goes back and solves that. The screen just did something really gnarly here. It's not redrawn.
Oh, melted.
Yeah, it's like pretty trash. So that Kelvin gets, oh, there it goes, it refreshes. So yeah, so what ends up happening is that this is a big part of that. So the question is that you're going to have JavaScript people who naturally build apps, and then you'll have probably FileMaker people, like Todd Geis and guys like that, who are really adept at jumping between different worlds. And they will take these apps, like Todd at one point had taken the Kanban app from online source and had hacked it and done the same kind of thing we did to the calendar, and he was making that available. FileMaker is going to bring this calendar, not this exact one, but basically the same code base, and a Kanban board, and a bunch of other stuff to the market. And then third parties are going to do this too. I don't know how much money in it there really is. I think there's a high demand for it in general, but you know, to sell a $100 Kanban board, or you know, because Todd sells his for like $2,000 a year or whatever it was, a lot of money. And so, but you know, Todd's a high-end kind of guy, and that's fine. The question is how, you know, how does that really translate in the world of FileMaker, right? So, because remember, every day there's, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 100,000 active developers in the world. There's about 1 million people using the platform. So, you know, every day about 1 million people open up FileMaker and use it, either Pro, Go, or WebDirect. So 1 million is really worldwide not that much, right? So, so the question is, FileMaker wants to grow the platform. I think that's important. I think that's a great idea. The question is, you know, can you make money building add-ons? And listen, if I thought you could make a lot of money building add-ons, we'd be building them, but we're not. We're going to do training, and people will build a lot of free ones. There'll be an overload of new add-ons, and then what you'll see is this distilling down where people build it, then they don't support it, they don't really take it seriously. Then you'll have like certain add-ons or certain things from like a couple key vendors that are like the go-to add-ons, like Base Elements will do something, I'm sure, 360, PCI, Productive Computing, probably Todd. And then pretty much everyone else, for the most part, maybe Monkey Bread will do something, you know, that's Christian Schmidt, I think his name. But, you know, you get the handful of the top product developers. They're going to probably do some of this stuff. But the question is, you know, just if you don't know anything about this, can you start up and make money on it? I think the money is to be made integrating it together. That's what FileMaker is asking the development community to do, is help integrate all these great tools together to make a great application for your customer. Make a great application. Your customers need that. So that's it for now. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
And the guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected, the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap. Stands in, throws it left for Amendola. Reaches up and starts a high throw and lands inside the 10. Rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.